What's up, guys? How's it going? Shout out to you guys in the chat. We got Ant-Man in the house, Anthony DiBona. Love the bets. People trying to take him are going to be showing up early or late. Lots of the late, of course, but you were wrong. Those that were taking the long shots. Maybe not as much, but shout out to everybody in the chat. Great to be here.
And those that were betting on the amount of hats that were going to be worn in this stream probably were wrong as well because, I always wear a hat, but Josh never wears a hat. Well, recently he's worn it a couple of times, I've noticed, but 2 hats now.
It's maybe the giveaway is the fact that we've reached somewhat golfing weather, depending on the week, but the daylight savings and everything else. And so if it's maybe playing golf, perhaps the earlier in the day, and then the hat's on because the hair is not in a great situation anyway. So it's just the easy go-to. You just throw it on and ready to rock.
I don't have that same problem as far as hair problems go, but hey, I think the hat's better than blinding people with my bald head. So.
Well, I don't really know what to say to that. But we're going to move on into the Eagles talk. And make sure to drop a like for us. We do appreciate it. Shout out to the sponsor, by the way. You guys noticed there's a new QR code on the screen, but shout out to Element. If you've not tried any Element products, you are missing out. I use them all the time, and especially as it gets warmer. I'm just talking about like electrolytes, replenish, everything there. I talked about it in the last video just for everything that they offer. But right now, if you get signed up or you can take advantage of the deal, scan the QR code, click the link in the description, drinkelement.com/Philly. I've got a little watermelon salt in this one. They've got the individual packets that you can use. They'll give you a free sample of 8 that you can try. But shout out to them. It's always great to get cool, exciting sponsors and use them way too much. If you did see the last video, you saw my fridge. There's probably too many Element drinks in there, but it's just kind of comes with the territory. So you won't be disappointed. I can guarantee that. Speaking of won't be disappointed, Howie Roseman always making moves. That's not a disappointment. There's the big fish, the bigger trade, the edge rush acquisition, which feels like the biggest one that we're all hoping and waiting for, hasn't happened yet. But there were some interesting, I'll say, and I kind of titled it for the stream here, but under the radar moves, quieter moves in the sense, but there's at least a little bit of potential, and it's kind of like how he does those low risk, high reward potential type moves, and a couple of those today.
Yeah, so the first one that was reported, which I was excited about because anybody that's followed me on Twitter saw that I was not too happy as far as the way that the tight end room was forming this offseason with just kind of running it back with Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. And now, but you get I know they added Johnny Munt, who's just pretty much a blocker, right? He's not going to catch the ball at all pretty much, but what he is, but he's damn good at it. So I understood it, the addition from that point and the experience with Sean Mannion. But now they bring in a guy, which is kind of what I was hoping they would bring in, where it's just a little bit more upside, especially as a pass catcher. And that's going to be Smartt, who played for the Chargers, showed some flashes for the Chargers a couple of years ago. Was with the Jets last season. Didn't his stats aren't going to blow anybody away, but former quarterback, went to Old Dominion like another former Eagles legend, Travis Fulgham. So he has that that crossover there. But yeah, I just it's a low risk. I mean, probably low reward too. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to blow anybody away, but I think it's just good to kind of put some more pressure on Grant Calcaterra. Listen, yeah, you're the pass catching tight end, but this guy's also fits that mold. He's almost more of a big receiver. He's 6'4", not even 230, right? He had the block. I tweeted it earlier today of his kind of blindside block against Abdul Carter in the preseason. So some people are automatic, he's a great blocker. He's not going to, he tries, but he's not going to be the guy that you're going to leave on the edge isolated like you could with a Johnny Munt, right? So overall, can't really be mad at that move. And then the other one that kind of caught everybody by surprise because it wasn't reported by any reporters. It was announced officially by the team. That was the first time we heard of it, which you really don't see at all, especially these days with agents trying to get the news out. And I saw EJ Smith on the PHLY Eagles show speculated that maybe it was because a medical kind of thing. They didn't want to say anything or put anything out there early because Dameon Pierce, the former Texans running back, he spent a little bit of time with the Chiefs last year. He's now with the Eagles. He signed a 1-year deal with the Eagles. So kind of the same mold of the AJ Dillon signing or I don't want to bring back too many bad memories, but Rashad Penny, Kerryon Johnson, that kind of same mold, guy that's shown flashes early in his career, but hasn't necessarily been the same player in recent years, battled injuries. So kind of falls in that same category, but he does have some kick return experience, which maybe I think he's brought in as more competition for Will Shipley, whereas like Saquon Barkley and Tank Bigsby are their top two running backs on the depth chart, and now you kind of have those two guys battle it out for that third spot, and we'll see if Pierce can even stay healthy. But two kind of under the radar additions that could be fighting for roster spots when we're talking about this team later in August and early September.
There we go. And, with kick return, that's something that we could all use a little bit of help with as far as it felt like too many times that we were watching games, last year that was like, well, if we can hope and pray that it gets kicked out of the back of the end zone or kicked in the end zone so you could just take the knee and get it at the 35. But otherwise, it's going to be returned to like the 20, 25 maybe. Best case scenario, it just felt like it was a huge uphill battle to begin with, and I mean that's before obviously the Kevin Petula offense and all that, but it just made it worse with the kick return. So maybe, I mean, I'm for 1% better, even if it is just a really small thing in terms of the kick return, and maybe it allows Tank Bigsby to be utilized hopefully more on the offense and not on the special teams. That it's wishful thinking, but I don't know. I'm trying to go with the optimistic viewpoint on that. Speaking of interesting kick return, punt return, the 20 bomb, Dennis Designs. Dennis, appreciate that, man, big time. How about Reek or Hollywood trying kick return and punt return? I don't know. I'm not sure if I see them. I think they're. Certainly Reek, his ability, what he's going to do on defense, I don't think it's worth risking anything for kick return, punt return. Hollywood Brown, like I don't even know off the top of my head what his return stats are, but I still don't think that like he's currently your wide receiver 3, unless you just made an acquisition. AJ Brown's still here, which that's a whole other thing we can get into, but like if he was so far down the depth chart that you didn't necessarily need him, maybe you look at that. But I feel like both those guys, you don't really want to risk any sort of injury for the special teams.
Yeah, it feels like I know both of them have like really good speed, right? Like that was like the thing coming out of college for both of them was like they're these speedsters that are just like their athleticism is through the roof, right? But now moving into this season, a little bit later in their careers, like I don't think you want to risk either one of them. They're going to be too valuable for their roles, both on offense and defense, because Hollywood Brown, like you said, is going to be the wide receiver 3, depending on what happens with AJ Brown. That's a whole nother topic. Don't worry, we're not going to talk too much about that. But just like even if he is the wide receiver 3, I think in Sean Mannion's offense, it's going to be a little bit different than we've seen in recent years. I don't think the wide receiver 3 is just going to be a nobody that gets 15 catches. I think they're going to be a little bit more involved, and you don't necessarily want to risk that guy on kickoffs. I know Jahan Dotson did it at times last year as far as punt returns, and basically just didn't return. He would either just fair catch the ball, or just let it go over his head. Like it seemed like he didn't really want to be out there either too much as far as risking himself, which is understandable. So I don't think either one of those guys really fit as a returner. I get the appeal of their speed, but I think the Eagles would try and fill that with either somebody they're going to be elevating from the practice squad each week, or it's going to be like a really much further down in the depth chart kind of player that they're going to want to put at risk for especially kickoff return, because they talked about it. It's been a controversial topic because the rules were supposed to make it safer, but now there's just been more like kickoff returns, which just means more kind of high speed collisions, and because it's going to happen no matter where you guys like align these players before the ball gets kicked in the air. There's still going to be some big collisions, right? So you don't really want to put anybody, especially your starting outside corner or potentially your wide receiver 2 or 3 out there for that kind of play.
Well, I like Sean Payton's take on the whole topic. They're asking about the tush push, and he's kind of like, yeah, but like if it's all for the name of safety, it's like what's the more risk? Like what's the riskier play? You're telling me the kick returns, which we've had thousands more of those, or the tush push? It's not being run nearly as often. So you're right. It's always there's a double standard there for one, but yeah, like in terms of the kick return itself, I don't want to get anybody injured necessarily, but it would be interesting. Like if they can find some, and maybe it's Dameon Pierce, maybe it's someone else, but if there's just a spark, like you were talking about, because you just didn't see it enough, and again, it could be worse if you had a guy that was muffing punts or something like that. Sure, but like at the end of the day,
Tank Bigsby.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. But it's like at the end of the day, you watch other teams that have good punt return, good kick return, and it can be a game changer, right? I mean, it's kind of the reason why it's not like it was his only role, but like it was a big part of why the Saints or the Seahawks traded the Saints for Rashid Shaheed. I mean, the kick return in the Super Bowl, he had a big one against the Rams earlier in the year. There was a punt return for a touchdown, like just game changer. And it doesn't have to be obviously, break it to the house, but like if you could be there's a chance maybe he returns it to the 50-yard line, something like that. And no offense to Will Shipley or Tank Bigsby or those guys. It didn't really happen, and it didn't come to fruition like we were hoping for. But then they're also like kind of saving Tank, or it felt like, oh, they're saving him to use him in the offense, which it never came, except for like, one run that was way too late, and then he'd run for 9 yards, and you're asking yourself all sorts of questions. So I don't know.
Just real quick on that topic, because I was looking at my phone trying to look this up now. Out of those two players, Woolen has never returned either a kick or a punt in the NFL. And
Okay,
Hollywood
so there
Brown
we
has
go.
only returned one kickoff and no punts in the NFL. Granted, it was for 30 yards, but that might have been like one of those, like the team needs a return touchdown. It's like, we're going to put our best player back there and see what he can do. I don't know the exact circumstances behind that, but only one career either kick or punt return between the two of those players. So that should also kind of answer the question too.
There you go. Yeah. On the spot. Anthony on the spot with the stats and the numbers. Yeah, we should just stick with somebody else. But Kilo King with a 2. I believe AJ is gone. Here we go. It only took till like the second or third super chat. But I believe AJ is gone. I'd like Boston over Cooper. Remember, Omar Cooper Jr., I'm assuming that's the Cooper. I don't think they're talking about Darius Cooper, but they could be. It wouldn't make sense for the Boston comment there. But Omar Cooper Jr., top 30 visit, one of the 4, I believe we're up to now. And there's some interest. Curious to see if and where he falls. But yeah, that's gonna. It's all. I mean, I'm seeing the live chat too, and it's kind of already broken off into varying levels of arguments and heated discussion, which is going to happen every time that AJ Brown's brought up. Look, and I'll share this before we can talk about it, because obviously we do appreciate the super chat. Everyone's entitled to their thoughts and opinions, and it is split. It feels like it's getting more. I won't necessarily say 50-50, but it feels like there's more people that are gravitating towards the like, I'm kind of thinking AJ may get traded, and whether it's reports you're buying into, whether it's just like, hey, this thing's gone on long enough, whether you're tired of hearing about it, which I think we both are. It's like, look, we talk about this all the time. Nothing's going to happen. Presumably, nothing's going to happen until June 2nd, if it does, right? It's just like the way that it's set up. Now, they could just go ahead and say, hey, we're going to eat the $40 million dead cap hit because the trade's going to be worth it. I'll put this on the screen because there's some people that are buying into it, and I've been DM'd by several. Ricky Scoops, if you believe in his reporting, he's gotten several things wrong about the Eagles in particular, but he has gotten some right. So, it's like, who knows anything in this day and age of information? But Ricky Scoops, this is the legit Ricky Scoops. I know people say, like, there's imitators out there. There are. This is the legit one. It got deleted. Shout out to All About the Birds who screenshotted it, because that's basically what you have to do if Ricky Scoops posts anything. But his account has been deleted now because he goes off and on. Apparently, he's saying barking news. He's been told the Eagles and Patriots reached an agreement in place to trade A.J. Brown post-June 1st. So it should be official June 2nd. Howie's been trying to get 2026 picks, but his magic did not work out at this time. Okay, again, like, you could throw so many different things up against the wall and just hope that it sticks, right? Like, that. Is that a legit report? I mean, you could say, yeah, like if you're really believing it, but it's so far away. Who knows? Like, you or I could come up with this, say, it's not going to work out, but June 2nd, there's agreed upon, and we'd have 3 months worth of going like, man, there's the scoop, just to maybe find out that that's not actually what took place. So who knows? Like, yeah, it's out there. There was also a trolling tweet, cryptic tweet, again, depending on which side of the argument you're on, of Julian Edelman, who posted the clip from the interview that he did with AJ Brown, say we're all Patriots, and then AJ winking, which even AJ's like, oh, I'm just playing in that interview. But he clips it and posts it today. So the same day, you get that from Julian Edelman, you get this from Ricky Scoops. I'm still not like, oh, that's a for sure given that it's just like, oh, the trade is absolutely going to happen. If it does happen with someone, like the Patriots, yes, are the most obvious answer, but I don't think that you should go into it like, there you go, that's it. AJ's just for sure gone, and we're June 2nd, it'll be official.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, anybody could have made this prediction, right? Because if you just read kind of the tea leaves of this offseason so far, once they signed Woolen and Ardell Epiketi and now Hollywood Brown and all these other guys, like, you can see that they do still have enough cap space if they did want to trade AJ Brown, right? Like, they could, if they wanted to trade him right now, they could make it work. They have, I think, like the 6th or 7th most cap space in the NFL somehow, despite adding the players that they have because of signing Jordan
crazy
extension, bringing back Dallas Goedert, all these other things. So technically they could do it now, but the Patriots have been the most likely team that would trade from this entire time, right? Put aside his fandom for the team, just like from a fit standpoint, they signed Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs is not a top wide receiver on a team that's especially contending for a Super Bowl, right? Like, so that didn't necessarily kind of silence anything. But then as the Eagles made more signings, it just made sense. And we said it. I said it that like if it made it seem like if they're going to trade him, it's going to have to be after June 1st. So just saying now that they have an agreement with the Patriots for after June 1st, that's not exactly like going out on a limb, right? That's like the most obvious AJ Brown potential prediction that you can kind of say now and then come back 3 months later and be like, look what I said. Like I was right. I had this all along. Like pretty much anybody with sources, without sources, you can kind of make that prediction and could look like you're very right. Just fast forward 3 months from now, right? But I just, like you said, I'm just kind of tired of the entire situation because there were rumors ahead of last season's trade deadline that like, oh, are they going to trade him this year? Like, could they trade him like at that point? Because they're like Diana Rossini was talking about it, and like I know she gets criticized a lot, but there has to be some truth to it, right? Because of the way he was like behaving both on and off the field, and now it's carried on to the offseason. There's been times where both sides could have kind of completely shut it down, and they haven't done so. If anything, they've kind of added a little bit more fuel to the fire in a way by like not answering things directly head on, right? So I'm just tired of it. I wish we could just fast forward to 3 months from now and just be done with it. But unfortunately, we're going to have to keep talking about it because it's going to be a topic until somebody just comes out and says, no, that's not happening. But in all likelihood, I think it is going to happen. So now you have to see, like you see Omar Cooper Jr. is one of their reported 30 visits that's come out already. He's he's projected to be a first round pick, right in that Eagles range, right? If they all of a sudden are hosting a couple other of these wide receivers like Casey Concepcion, a Boston, all these other guys that could be in that range. Now the Eagles are pretty much putting it out themselves too, that like maybe it's intentional, who knows, but they're like, listen, we're really interested. And then if they actually do draft the wide receiver on day 1 or day 2 of the draft, it's like, how could you not think that they're going to trade AJ Brown away, right? So I know people are tired of talking about it, but everything the team has done to this point and continues to do says that it is a legitimate possibility.
Yep. And I know that people, again, the Julian Edelman tweet that was out there, I think I've got the, where's that troll tweet? I think I've got that one. If I don't, I can try to find it. Yes, here it is. I was going to say, because some people were asking in case you haven't. But yes, here is the, like, I don't know what to make of that. Like, we're all Patriots and the wink, right? That's all that he posts here. So, okay. And I know, because other people mentioned this as well, Christian Gonzalez, cornerback, retweeted it. It still doesn't mean anything. Like, we had Lane Johnson tweeting at Maxx Crosby with eye emojis. Nothing's happened so far. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Did you see Kevin Byard also by any chance on the Jordan Schultz show?
I don't know if I saw that actually. No,
So he was, after he signed with the Patriots, he was recording an episode of Jordan Schultz's podcast with him. And I guess while they were recording, they have now since posted this clip, but it was when Christian Kirk signed with the 49ers. So Jordan Schultz asked Kevin Byard, like, oh, give me a second. Like, I got to just get this news out, whatever. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, oh, it's wide receiver news, whatever. So Kevin Byard goes like, oh, I thought you were going to say that AJ is coming to the Patriots or something like that. I was like, so that's even the player, a guy that just signed with the Patriots, has this in his head, right? So for anybody that's trying to say from the outside that like there's no truth to this, it's like even the players themselves are thinking about it, right? So
yeah.
Like I said, I want to just fast forward and be done with it, but this topic is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I've said this since, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago when we were making predictions. I was like, I feel like it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50 on AJ being traded or not being traded. And yes, I see all the stuff going on. You try to read the tea leaves. If you want to speculate on that, it feels like it's leaning more towards that situation. Because if AJ wanted to shut it down, he could very easily do just like a post, a tweet, anything. Being like,
call into a radio station.
But that's true. Call into a radio station. I know he's talked about it before, but this has gone on a lot longer since then, since we've heard from him, and especially the way the season ended. He signed some jerseys, give them to Coop and Q. Nobody hears from him. Jalen is like, yeah, we're on good terms, but, you should ask him. It's like, cool, but he is nowhere to be found or talked to, It's like, and then I know the viral clip of him being at the Super Bowl, and they ask him, what's the Super Bowl that you remember? He shares the Giants and the Patriots Super Bowl, and everybody's like, oh, bro, are you kidding me, man? Like, you just won a Super Bowl with the Eagles. You're not going to say that's the most unforgettable one. So, again, there's so many different things. He does love to troll. He's a jokester. He's been that way for a long time. So it's the element of, like, what's truth here? Is there some troll element? Is he just trying to get a rise out of people? Everybody knows people like that. Sure, there's lots of people watching the stream that are like that themselves. So I get that element. But, yeah, you read the tea leaves here, and it's like, okay, I could see something happening. But at the same time, you could also argue, if we're going back to the Ricky Scoops anyways, like, okay, the official, like, oh, there's a trade in place and all this other stuff. He said the same thing about Jalen Carter being traded. It's like, Jalen Carter, open to discussions, going to be traded. Adam Schefter refuted those claims. He also said it about Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips going to be signed back by the Eagles. Didn't happen. Went to the Panthers. So, Ricky, he's gotten several things right at the Micah Parsons like he did last year. But as far as the Eagles news, I don't even know if he's batting 500. So, just take it for what you will. It wouldn't surprise me one way or the other because of the dead cap and all the other stuff we talked about. But again, I think that we're all of the same mindset. It's like, it's just over and over and over. It's the vicious cycle, repeating ourselves of the A.J. Brown and all that discussion. Dylan with a 5. Appreciate that. I think we're moving on to a different topic, which would be nice and a refresher.
Love it.
When I saw the Woody Marks signing, and he did clarify, go back again and said Pierce, meant Pierce. But with the Dameon Pierce signing, it made me wonder if they're planning to send Tank Bigsby along with our third for Goedert since Minnesota needs running backs. Interesting.
I mean, you never say never, right? But Dameon Pierce is not a player that I feel like you could confidently say is the same player that he was a couple of years ago, right? He had that great rookie season, and then he's kind of just fallen off a cliff. He's battled a bunch of different like little injuries. I think it's been a bunch of like ankle injuries, if I remember correctly, but he just hasn't been the same player. And last season was literally cut by the Texans and then went to the Chiefs. So I think he's shown promise, especially early in his career. And you like the way he runs, like that tough running style reminds you a little bit of Tank Bigsby. But I don't think that might be a move maybe later in training camp where they listen, like he battled it out with Will Shipley. We're still going to keep Will Shipley, but another team now needs a running back. We could trade him for a late pick swap or something like that. But I don't think the Vikings, especially before the draft, are going to be trading one of their best defensive players for Dameon Pierce. I think that would, or for Tank Bigsby, right? So like, I don't think that's going to be a situation that the Eagles would be considering. If they're going to trade for Jonathan Goedert, I think it would probably just be a 3rd round pick, probably at best is what I would offer it in my mind. And that's it. I don't think they'd have to throw in any other players, especially a guy that they just signed or a guy that they just traded for last year that showed promise, right? I feel like you want to see what Tank Bigsby can do in this Sean Mannion offense with this new running style and kind of give him the chance to kind of thrive as that running back 2 behind Saquon Barkley and not necessarily get rid of him because you got him on a relatively cheap deal. So I think Dameon Pierce is just nothing more than like running back competition for that 3rd spot, if that, and could just be a camp body. It depends on how his body holds up.
Yeah, I agree. You don't necessarily need the tank sweetener. You've already got if it's the 3rd round pick, like Dylan was saying here, then you're probably, I mean, hopefully, but should be enough to get a trade done. Says also, I hope Mannion not only is a good play caller, that's what we're all hoping for, but also develops Jalen Hurts further. Once the timing of Jalen gets better, I think he can truly be elite as a passer. I mean, I'm hoping that he just can pick up the offense quickly. I'm excited about the change. Hearing Lane Johnson talk about some of the different elements. He was on, what's the name of the podcast? It's Fitz and Wit.
Yeah.
I don't.
Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andrew Whitworth.
Yes, I can't think of the exact name of the podcast now, but yes. But he was on there talking about the offense, and it's like it's pretty cool when you got Lane Johnson kind of fired up, right? Because he's been here for forever, contemplating retirement, or at least the thought or the rumors of that. And for him to say, like, oh, yeah, like, to think about Jordan Mailata and myself not necessarily always having to be on an island is a pretty cool aspect because he's been asked to do a ton because he is so good. But if it's more of a team blocking element, then he can, kind of utilize some other guys there. Then he had a big smile on his face. He's like, yeah, we're excited about that. You look at some of the other scheme elements that they've gone through, getting hyped for it. So we're all as fans, yes, right there. But the fact that, as we've seen a number of times before, in guys who don't have play calling experience, there's some PTSD there. It's a different because it's a different offense, but Sean Mannion's still gonna have to prove it. So I think lots of hope, lots of excitement, but there's a little guardedness there.
Yeah, I just think you heard Jalen Hurts say that, like, oh, he's amazing, right? And you just never heard Jalen Hurts talk about anybody like that, especially Kevin Patullo, right? So
yeah,
for him to say that after like limited interactions with Sean Mannion, it seems like everybody in the building, especially on the offense, of course, is fired up about what Sean Mannion is going to bring to Philadelphia. Even Saquon Barkley spoke highly of him. So I'm excited to see what it's going to be. And it's almost like more exciting, like the unknown, like not knowing what it's going to look like is almost more fun than like thinking like, oh, this guy has a proven system and like, what he's bringing in. It's like, you don't know exactly what Sean Mannion's offense is going to be, like what it's going to look like. So it's not like the Chip Kelly level of mystery when he came to the NFL, and people were like, he's gonna like change the game with this no huddle, and it did work for
Yeah.
that first year before everybody caught up, obviously. But I am really excited to see what Sean Mannion brings, and it's good to hear, especially a guy like Lane Johnson, who essentially had almost both feet out the door. Right, it seemed like he was really contemplating retirement. For him to come back and not only come back but be really like genuinely excited about it, it has me fired up as well.
And I mean, the way this thing could work out is, because it's all hypotheticals, but like you mentioning that of nobody knows what it's going to look like. It's exciting for us because we don't know it, but also you think about defenses, they have no clue. Yes, they could go and look at schemes that'll be similar to it. Like they could go and look at a McVay and a Shanahan and things like that, but those are difficult to game plan against to begin with. Sean Mannion has nothing on tape of himself calling plays. I mean, you could say, okay, fine, like the Senior Bowl. But nobody's going to go look at the Senior Bowl. Yeah, let's game plan to stop the Eagles' offense against this. So, like, if the Eagles, I mean, there's something to be had there. It's like, if the Eagles get rolling quickly, there may not necessarily be enough film for teams, if they can really capitalize on this year, this upcoming year, the first year with Sean Mannion, and they can get things going, not enough necessarily for teams to go, like, do they have a legit tendency? Or it take a long time by the end of the season, maybe, but then that's when you build in those tendency breakers. So it'll be really interesting, even though you look at the schedule, and they do have some difficult teams on that schedule that they play, there's an opportunity here, especially if they have the full complement of weapons. I mean, we talked about this earlier, and I'm sure we're going to get to Hollywood and some of the other acquisitions, but like if A.J. Brown stays and Hollywood Brown is your wide receiver 3, the skill positions are insane. I mean, they were regardless of that, but you're like, you got A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith, you got Hollywood Brown, you've got Dallas Goedert, you've got Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. If the offensive line is back to what we think they can be, what we hope they can be, that the stem cell treatment did its magic, and a couple of guys are back to what we have seen previously, there's no reason that this offense can't catch the entire league by surprise. And you're like, what the heck is this? Including Jalen Hurts. I mean, to the comment of, becoming an elite passer, more on timing and everything like that, because that's what this system and scheme is.
Yeah, and that's what's so exciting too, because it goes beyond Sean Mannion, in my opinion, because now you add Gerard Johnson, Josh Grizzard, like two guys that have done well with quarterbacks, and especially young quarterbacks that were like dealing with changing systems or dealing with coming into the league. We saw how Baker Mayfield thrived in Tampa Bay, and people want to say like, how much of that was Josh Grizzard? How much was it not? But he was there that first year that they kind of had that amazing season and caught everybody by surprise. And Gerard Johnson was in Houston when C.J. Stroud looked like he was one of the best, if not the best, young quarterback in the NFL, right? So now you're surrounding Jalen Hurts and Sean Mannion with all this help too. So that's what's kind of really exciting. And now we'll get into it, but the addition of Andy Dalton in the quarterback room is like a super experienced quarterback in the league, 3-time Pro Bowler, has like 170 plus starts. It's not like Jalen Hurts is going to be leaning on, like, he's not going to be the one leading the room and kind of, he's still going to be leading the room. But I mean, as far as like the most experienced voice in the room, where he's telling these young guys like a Sam Howell and a Tanner McKee, like, this is how we do it, right? Like now Andy Dalton is going to be a respected voice in that room that could also chime in and be like, listen, Jalen, when you see this is how I used to go about things. And like he was literally starting and made Bryce Young sit for a little bit, right? And like in Carolina, because he was playing relatively good, right? A couple years ago.
Exactly.
So, that now it opens up the door of like Tanner McKee potentially being traded. And I wrote about that on my article earlier today on the PhillySpecialShow.com. But regardless, if it's Andy Dalton as the second quarterback or the third quarterback, adding that voice along with all the coaches that we've mentioned, I think it'll only help Jalen Hurts, because he's shown that he's willing to learn and kind of take a step back and take on coaching. And he's done it basically every year with a new offensive coordinator. So no real change for him. Like he's been through this kind of ringer before, but now he's just going to have so much more help to rely on too.
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point that you bring up there. Like you say, it's the other coach in the room. Andy Dalton is another coach in the quarterback's room because he's been there for so long. And for him to be able to kind of share that, the relationship with Parks Frazier that he has as well. You think back to some of the other time, or the other instance, especially for last year, and like Jalen didn't have as much of the experience. I mean, yes, there's Tanner McKee there, but like not as much of that QB3, if you will, and who knows where Tanner goes, right? Because it could be QB2 for Andy Dalton, as you were suggesting, of possibilities for trades. But yeah, to have that type of experience is invaluable. Like it's huge for the coaches. We know that. Like they have to be there. But to have another player going with it through you, and in the headset, on the sidelines, in game, making adjustments, love that. I mean, for a 7th round pick, I mean, I don't want to say a steal for like a QB3, right? Like I've seen people go like, oh, it's a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Sure, I guess. To me, it's more of the wizardry of Howie Roseman. Because who knew that Andy Dalton was available? Like, you have to be so in tune with what every other team is doing, who they're willing to get rid of, the calls that you're making nonstop to be like, hey, because, it's one thing, right? Because, like, we can all sit here and go, Jonathan Grenard. So if Howie's not made those calls, there's a big issue. Like, but that's the obvious ones. And we can pull up the list of free agent targets and say, hey, here's your top guys and whatever. Like, but to go like, we've already got Tanner McKee and we got Jalen Hurts, but we're not necessarily sure about our QB3. But there's also some possibility if you do solidify and maybe bring in another pretty solid quarterback to then have the flexibility to trade away Tanner McKee. You don't have to, but you could if it's the right type of price. So you could do something like that. And then if that happens, you say, well, hey, we've got an opportunity here to get a draft pick back for Tanner McKee. And Andy Dalton now is a 7th round pick, like for that type of value. So again, I won't say it's a steal, but I loved seeing the trade. I think it makes all the sense.
Yeah, I joked about it in my article earlier today and I tweeted about it too, that just Howie Roseman has become obsessed with trading quarterbacks, right? Like in recent years, or if you go back even to 2021, I believe he's made 6 trades involving quarterbacks. It's like Carson Wentz, Joe Flacco, Gardner Minshew, Kenny Pickett twice, and then now the Andy Dalton trade, right? So
KP both
and Dorian Thompson-Robinson was involved in one of the Kenny Pickett trades too. So another quarterback. So for some reason, I think it's 3 offseasons in a row now that Howie Roseman has made a trade for a quarterback or traded whoever the backup quarterback was. And like you mentioned, a lot of the times it's names that we're not expecting. Like the Gardner Minshew trade caught many by surprise at the time. Kenny Pickett, nobody really expected that. And now Andy Dalton. So when Kenny Pickett got traded away, many people expected that. But a lot of times when he's been acquiring these guys, it's kind of been by surprise. So just once again, Howie Roseman kind of draft proofing and kind of trade proofing the roster in a way too, right? Where now if you do trade a Tanner McKee, you have an experienced voice. It's not like you're going to have to rely on a 7th round pick rookie to be your second quarterback, right? You can just bring in Andy Dalton and he's like your proven quarterback too. If you have to start a game or two, he's shown that he can win doing so. And then you could have that maybe your next Tanner McKee kind of in waiting if you do trade the actual Tanner McKee away.
Yep. All the flexibility. I love that. Shout out to Ryan, by the way. Says, hat game on point tonight, gentlemen. We appreciate that. Thank you. Anthony's is always there.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy to join the club, every once in a while. Darth Panda with a 20 bomb. Dude, appreciate that. Says, why is this fan base so soft? Throwing some stones at people here. Throwing a fit over AJ saying his favorite Super Bowl moment was the Tyree catch and then the Reed clip when he gave a better explanation on Exciting Mike's in other news. Yes. And then in other news, I'm excited about the top 30 visits so far. So I get it. Like, again, to me, especially, we could just like rehash the exact same thing. Basically what we said previously, there's so many like clips and sound bites and everything else to make someone else look a certain way. And even if they want to move on to somewhere, or obviously like everyone said, the Saquons even talked about like AJ Brown is a huge Patriots fan. Like everyone's known that for so long. And maybe he goes and plays for the Patriots. Cool. If he does, good luck to him, and how he's not going to make a move unless it makes sense trade wise. Because otherwise, dead cap hit. I go back to Jeffrey Lurie's comments. We don't hear from Lurie because he's behind the scenes kind of and as the owner, Bart. But we hear from Howie. But even Jeffrey Lurie was talking about we won't make a single move no matter what a player wants to do unless it 100% benefits the Philadelphia Eagles. Now that was all the way back around like Thanksgiving time when AJ was talking a little bit, and then there was this report of Lurie basically stepped in to kind of get AJ in line. And then we never heard from AJ again. It was kind of like, all right, it's just going to shut up basically, let this thing play out. Was it an agreement? There's been speculation it was an agreement of like, AJ, if you don't say anything else, you don't make any more noise, you fall in line, that we will try our best to trade you. And if as long as you don't do that, as long as you don't stir up anything else and demand a trade to maybe lessen your value, then we will take care of you. We'll figure something out. Who knows? It's all speculation, but it would make sense. There's a lot of things to go in line with that. But yes, I agree with like the I don't know, like it's to me, it doesn't bother me as much, but I see a lot of times someone gets stirred up because like, if you say one thing or the other, one side of the argument, either one, and it's like, oh my gosh, you just people ready to flip a table, like this thing is going to be fine regardless of how it plays out, right? Like if he goes or he stays, it's going to work out because the Eagles are in a good situation either way of how they part with AJ or he sticks around and they've got him on a good deal to begin with. That's what Howie Roseman did. And you've got a new offense coming in here that should be able to capitalize and take advantage. So, yeah, I agree. And I am excited about the top 30 visits.
It's funny, though, because I tweeted something very similarly to that, like list of things that Eagles fans are mad at this week. And it was like the AJ Brown clip about him saying the most memorable game that he's ever seen, like whatever, most memorable game. Then it was the Reed Blankenship comments where he said it was like the first time he felt like somebody, like he felt wanted, which,
yes,
I mean, he made $4 million in 4 years with the Eagles. I can understand the first time he's got paid real money was the first time that like he felt wanted. I have no issue with his comments there at all. And then Jalen Phillips earlier in the week when he said to the media in Carolina where like he felt like the team had faith in him, or like the offer from the Panthers showed that they have faith in him. Like clearly he's making $120 million. Like he has, so it's obviously the money played a factor, but he's going to say stuff like that publicly. So people like Eagles fans were so offended by those three things. And I just didn't get it because especially with like AJ Brown, that's like what you draw the line at. It wasn't when he was going on live streams and complaining or like not talking to the media or like not giving the greatest effort as a route runner or as a blocker or dropping passes. Like none of that stuff like crossed the line. It was him saying the most memorable game was when he was a kid and a Patriots fan and the Giants had the helmet catch and beat the Patriots, like upset them in the Super Bowl. Like, it's just very odd to me, but I mean, it is what it is.
We all get emotional. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We all get emotional about it. We're all attached to players, and I understand it from the standpoint of Dallas Goedert, the comparison there, right? Because he's $7 million. And for him clearly wanting to stay in Philadelphia, for players that do that, for Brandon Graham, right? Like you go to some of the legends that are like just being an Eagle. And yes, it does mean something different. So I'll give that to you. And I totally get that there's instances where I'll get emotional same way. Does it make me feel a little bit more of a fandom towards Dallas Goedert for that move? Absolutely. Like when it was like, oh, let's go. Like he's willing to take another pay cut. He took one last year. He's willing to take another pay cut and stick around. Heck yeah. Like sure, there's the loyalty there.
Can I say something a little controversial? And we haven't.
You're
we haven't
say he didn't take a pay
yet,
cut,
but yeah, I don't know if it was like he was getting $12 million offers somewhere else. I'm like he took.
I'm not saying that, but you don't think there's a single team out there that if he had tested he didn't even test free agency waters. You don't think that like one team offers him?
We talk about like how there's back channel, like different ways that they can find out their market value, right?
Yes.
I just thought overall, like the tight end market as a whole was very underwhelming compared to what I thought it was going to be, right? Like, well, you have Cade Otton, who I was projecting was going to get like 12 to 15 million a year. He signed a 3-year, like $30 million deal. If you're telling me 28-year-old or whatever, 27-year-old Cade Otton, who's had very similar stats to Dallas Goedert last year outside of the touchdowns, but that was kind of an inflated number. But you're telling me that he's getting $7 million more than a 31-year-old Dallas Goedert. Like that's not crazy to me, in my opinion. I know we think so highly of Dallas Goedert and things like that, but I don't think it's outlandish to think that around 7 million, 8 million was his market, like on the outside too, right? So maybe he took like a slight discount to come to Philadelphia, but I feel like people are like, oh, he took half of what he could have made elsewhere. Like that's a little crazy. I think we're almost giving him a little bit too much credit.
I'm not saying, yeah. If there are people that are out there that are saying that he would have gotten 14 million, then yeah, that's crazy. I think he took a little, like it's to the same standpoint of BG, 2-3 years ago, whenever he came back and he signed, or Fletch, whenever he came back and signed, he was talking about Baltimore. He took a little bit of a pay cut. Same thing. Like it's to me, we're talking about maybe $1 million a year, maybe two max,
which is a lot of money.
Which is
I'm
exactly
it's nothing,
right. But in the grand scheme of things, I do understand. Like, yes, I'm not saying it's like, oh, he took a half of a pay cut, but neither did Fletcher, neither did these other guys. But still, like, even to do that, to like split in hairs and say, hey, I'm going to stick around here. Like, I get it. Like, there's the emotional investment, emotional ties to a player like that. So for ones that don't, there's, I don't know, like maybe they don't hold a place, like, a place in your heart forever that's like, oh, that is the guy, like that's a legend, to be here, because obviously they're moving on to someone else. But I can't knock a guy like, for example, a Jalen Phillips to go make $30 million a year in Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Now, when he makes those comments about, like, oh, being here and everything else, yeah, do you look back and go, wait, I thought you said, like, oh, I love Philly, I'm like, I want to be here forever and blah, blah, blah. Yes. But, if you're a new person coming to any team or something like that, same thing for Reed where he's going to the Texans. Like, I don't fault him for being like, oh, it's the first team. Like you were saying, first team that makes me feel wanted. He's trying to win the fans over too. And yes, if we're like, it's context. It's not like if it's all equal, then sure. But like context wise, he just got a massive amount of money from a team that was willing to pay him. And for some reason, right, like this is a little bit of it. For some reason, the Eagles were not willing to, because I believe if the Eagles had been willing to match whatever the offer is, or what the offer is that Reed got with Houston, he probably stays in Philly because he's comfortable. Yeah. He's familiar with this group. The Cooper DeJean element, the exciting whites, like he probably stays. So for him to say like first team to make me feel wanted is not totally wrong. I don't love it like my emotional fandom side does it, but it's not totally wrong. So anyway, we got off on a very large tangent there from Darth's 20 as far as just the emotional. We all get emotional. See, we just got emotional here in this therapeutic session, which it's that's what we're doing. Jim with a 5. Appreciate that. There's no way anything can happen. I guess this is about AJ. Yes, it is about AJ. Until June 1st. There's also no free agent wide receiver 1 available. The draft will be the best indicator of whether AJ will be traded. I kind of agree as far as like we've been saying there. You get a move from the Eagles. You may even know beforehand, like you were talking about, Anthony, as far as the top 30 visits. We start seeing 3-4 names of like potential guys, it's like, the Eagles are telling us without telling us where they're going direction wise. They've already brought in Hollywood and looking to get a young rookie at receiver. John with a 5, stem cell treatment with the wink and the go birds. Exactly. It's whatever works. I think we've gone on to that one, but whatever gets these guys healthy. I mean, within reason, right? Like,
as long as they don't get suspended,
don't get suspended for this, but
was put in their bodies.
Exactly. Yes. I should clarify that. Whatever legally works within the bound of or within the boundary of what's acceptable. Yes, do that, please. Dylan with a 5 more. Appreciate that. Says a random question for both of you. Round 1 of the draft. What position do you most want, and what position or player would make you? Ooh, interesting. Upset if they were drafted. So most want, and then most upset if they were to draft.
Ooh, this is tough for me. I've said offensive tackle, so I'm just gonna stick to that. But I'll go with he's not gonna make it to the Eagles, I don't think. But I would actually be upset if the pick was Monroe Freeling, the offensive tackle from Georgia, who's after the combine has been projected as like a top 10 pick, potentially as high as like 6, right? I've seen. So I don't think he'll be there for the Eagles, but I just thought when I watched him, he has like a ton of upside, right? Just like oozes with potential. Could be the next Lane Johnson. Who knows, right? But there's some work to be done with him. And I feel like now without Jeff Stoutland in the building, you're maybe not as confident in taking like the risky prospect or the raw prospect, right? However you want to categorize him. But then also during the on-field drills, and I might be putting way too much into this. I've already had multiple people tell me that I'm crazy, that I'm putting too much stock in just a couple drills that were televised for 20 minutes. But it seemed like in every on-field drill that they had for the offensive lineman, Monroe Freeling fell at one point or another in each of those drills, whether it was like the reach block where they got like punched with one hand and then backpedal, like he fell doing that. Then he like fell on the bag drill. Like he just looked all over the place. It was like watching like a baby giraffe with like his legs were just sliding out from underneath him. So he could end up being a Hall of Famer, and I'll look like an idiot 10 years from now. But that would kind of be my stay away from target in that range. But like Maxx is a guy that's mocked to the Eagles, and I think he was in Mel Kiper's most recent mock draft. That's from Arizona State. He's considered also another like raw guy, but because he's like a former basketball player, started playing the position late. But I think he almost looks more ready than Monroe Freeling does, right? So we'll see what happens there. But it's kind of like a pick your poison at offensive tackle. But Monroe Freeling, I'm out on him.
There you go. I'm not going to guess that actually after the conversations that we've had from the combine. That is an interesting one. I would there's a couple positions I would be happy about. So I don't know if it's like one most excited for the drafting on. Offensive line would be happy about. Safety, as of the way things stand right now, obviously could very quickly change. But offensive line feels like you have to get some depth there, like you were talking about. Safety, another one that I'd be all right with. Tight end, if Kenyon Sadiq falls.
Hey now.
It's a dream, I suppose, but there's possibility. I mean, position-wise that I would be upset with. There's a lot of positions that I could throw out there. It just feels like anything that we have a surplus of. Like if they were to select a Well, heck, if they took a quarterback and there's givens obviously, right? If they took a quarterback in the first round, you'd be like, are you serious? Are we really doing this right now? You're going to take a quarterback here? If you take a cornerback, even I know that the 1 year gamble on Reek, right? Like you say, well, but what are you going to do? But you don't need to in this win now mode. Like you can kind of do both. You can fill the void of needing like longevity on someone, but you also can do the win now of picking a player in that instance. And I don't think a corner would be that type of guy. That's why safety makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I haven't really thought about like who I'm totally out on. I don't have like a immediate name for a Monroe Freeling of like, oh, don't draft that guy. Now, if you take again, I could give you several guys that I would take. Like if you want to take a Dylan Thieneman, or if you want to take a Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, be happy about those. I mean, we can live with that, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'd definitely be more excited with a safety pick if it's either one of those players than like an offensive tackle. I was just more so going by like what position I think they should take the most, not like what's most exciting would be either one of those safeties for sure. I think that either one of those is a win-win and they would contribute immediately.
There we go. And the Eagles maybe I can never pronounce his name correctly, but Vega Ioane. Is that
I've heard Ione. Listen,
I even tried to. We do our best to try to listen to it, and it's like I listened to him say it at the combine, and I'm still like I tried to spell it out phonetically, and I by the draft maybe we'll
listen. We were able to get down Olufemi Oladejo last year.
That's true.
Draft,
yes,
so,
yes.
And I'm gonna get all these names down by the time draft night rolls.
And I saw what was the dude from I think it was Yale? Was it Amagaji? The tackle, right? Wasn't he the Eagles, guy? Or
the Eagles were interested in him, and I think he ended up. I forget where he went. Did he go to Chicago? I think.
I think you're right, but I saw him. Someone was posting something about it, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I know how to say that name now." So give us time. It sounds terrible now, but hopefully by draft night, we'll be able to nail some of those names. It is amazing, just the phonetics too, like the cue card or the notes that I'll have, like either on a screen or like here's like spelled out, so I could say it, but it's like it's nothing how it's spelled at all.
We can't feel too bad about it because there's definitely going to be fans or whoever else, former players, that are going to be on the stage at the actual draft, and they're definitely going to botch some of these names, right? So if we get a couple of them wrong along the way,
that's fair. Yeah,
that's all right. It's all right.
We get a gel out of free card, so we're good. We can take care of that. Michael with a 10 bomb says, macro perspective, trust those closest to the situation. Going back to AJ, if opinions in the Jefferson complex seem to align with it's best for AJ to move on, then it's probably best for the organization. AJ is a good player, but will be okay.
Yep.
Seems logical. Yes. I mean, at the end of the day, like we love players and everything else, but like, It's a business, and players come and go. Like our favorite players come and go. I think I could speak for everyone that when Brian Dawkins was no longer an Eagle, like that was a shot. Like that was, are you kidding? How could that possibly happen? Right? Like to see him play for the Broncos, it shouldn't have, like, to all sorts of emotions, but like for the organization as a whole, they're going to move on from players at some point. The vast majority of them. There's a select few, and I think that's what makes it so special, though. The guys that do stay for their career, but I mean, this one doesn't feel like it's gonna be that way. Obviously, earlier he was with the Titans, but even for the rest of it, but who knows? Maybe it's all smoke and no fire. But there's certainly a lot. Darth with a 2 for safety. I like Thieneman or Halsey in the second. Okay. I've always said EMN. I don't know why I said EMN, but it'd be EMW. But yeah, no Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. Not a fan of.
Mel Kiper Jr. calls him E-Man. He just goes with E-Man. So I don't know if that's his
E-Man,
nickname,
okay.
Or if that's Mel Kiper Jr.'s nickname
that
for him, but he throws that out a lot there too. So
that's probably better. I like that. Yeah. EMAC. You could do EMAC.
They'll. Hopefully he's in Midnight Green. That's all I'm hoping for.
Yeah,
that's a really fun player to watch.
I'd be all right with that. But no, and if we get the exciting whites and we have another guy in Dylan Thieneman, we'll be good there too. We should bring up and mention, because we were covering a variety of topics and we were bouncing around wherever, but Jake Elliott was restructured, so that did happen. contract restructure there, free up a little bit of cap space, a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. It confirmed something that we kind of already knew, though. It's like Jake Elliott is going to be your place kicker to start the season. There's not going to be competition. I think we talked about it, if I'm not mistaken, on the last either live stream or recording that we did, but basically saying, like, if you see a kicker that is at the Jefferson complex, it's just there to, like, kind of show face, like, that they're doing their due diligence. But Jake will be the starting kicker. There's no competition to be had. He will have to start the season and be kicking horribly, or maybe how he was this past year a little bit, and then maybe it spurs a change. But to start out, Jake Elliott is going to be the guy, and even the restructure probably means more. They voided out the years till what, like, was it 2032? I was going to say 2032. Yes. It's small. Which I think it's not like a massive contract, but
I think that was actually already the situation, because I went to, like, Over the Cap and Spot Track right away after that news was reported, and they both already had the deal flushed out until 2032. So I think the initial one that he signed already had the 4 void years tacked onto it. It's just now they kind of reworked it to where he took a little bit of a pay cut this year, but, like, his entire salary was guaranteed instead of, I guess, it being in future years. So maybe this is their way of almost doing what they did with Dallas Goedert, where it's like, you're definitely here next year, but more than likely, and for those that haven't seen this, this was reported also, that the way Dallas Goedert's contract is now structured is that they are going to be able to designate him as a post-June 1st cut next offseason in 2027 and spread out that remaining dead cap hit that he's going to have, which they weren't able to do that this past year because of the way the contract was structured. He was going to be an unrestricted free agent. Technically now, the way the deal is set up, they're going to be able to waive him and kind of spread out that dead cap hit. They're not going to have to push it back to try and figure out when they're going to eat the $20 million, how they're going to do that. So now with Jake Elliott, he was just making too much money heading into this year, even before the restructure, for them to really entertain. They could have brought in some competition, which they still might do, to kind of just motivate him or whatever. But, like, given what the money that he's making, he's not going anywhere this season, for better or for worse. So unfortunately, Eagles fans might have to wait until 2027 for a new kicker. But hopefully Jake Elliott has a bounce back year, and we're not talking about this again.
You know that you're in a either really good way or really bad way when you start having nicknames or new nicknames being added. And judging by the chat, it's always creative. We've seen the Missy Elliott ones. There's the Jake the Last Chance to Make Elliott, Donald there. John had one earlier that I saw from the text, which was Jake the Ache. That's a decent one too. I mean,
I think Missy Elliott is
Missy Elliott is probably the best one, but I feel like it's like in levels, right? Like if to start out, we're in Jake the Ache, and he could improve and just remove the nicknames, which would be great. But it goes from Jake the Ache to, if he starts to be really bad, then it's Missy Elliott, because it's like all he's going to do is miss the field goals. Right now we're in like oh man, here comes Jake. Like, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna be able to knock these through? Second, however we phrase that, second least accurate kicker in the NFL last year, I think, and highest paid, or second highest paid. That's not a good correlation, but
just not good. That's all.
Yeah, but they did free up a little bit of cap space, as we talked about. The numbers, a lot of people throwing out there like 38 million, 40 million, somewhere in that range, if you're looking at like Spot Track or Over the Cap. But there's been a few individuals on social media, which we don't know the exact specifics because, we can't see those contracts, but that are saying that it's probably closer to like $30 million in cap space. So it won't be showing online publicly because they're not reflecting all of the deals being done, but more than likely it's closer to 30 million. So there's more than enough room to get a deal done. Or they could always roll it over. That would be the most boring thing ever. But if they can't get deals, it'd be interesting, because like they're reportedly trying to get a Jalen Carter extension done. But when you think about it, there's all this money, right? Or there's a decent amount of money in cap space. But maybe that's where it's at right now. Like, it's just a lot of like trying to get things done, but they can't really go make a full move because they don't exactly know, right? Because if AJ is going to be traded, even if it's after, then there's your $20 million. So you got to save some for that. Even if he's not, well, Jalen Carter extension is going to take some. Yes, it'll be a lot of void years, so it won't take up a lot for this season, but it's still some. But if they can't get it, then Howie knows he needs to roll it over to next year to save it. And so they're probably having those negotiations. So you got Jalen Carter question, you got AJ Brown question, you've got a situation for potential of a trade and sign for Jonathan Goedert, but that's not a given either. Like if the Vikings are not saying for sure we'll do this yet, or you can't have legit conversations with the agent, or the agent's kind of going like, yeah, we might be okay with this. So there's so many things up in the air right now. Like Howie's juggling. I can only imagine, like all the stuff he's juggling about, hey, here's all the potential moves, right? And then here's all the moves we have made, and here's all the targets that we're going after. And then, oh, by the way, the draft is in like a month and a half or less. So
yeah,
he's insane.
that's another thing too, is I think it's estimated between like 9 to 10 million that it's going to take this year in the cap space for the draft picks that they're projected to have right now too. So who knows? Howie Roseman's never going to use the picks that he has heading into the draft, right? He's going to make some type of trade at some point where he's going to either have less picks or more picks or whatever the case might be. So yeah, he's going to have to factor all of that in. And with the Jalen Carter move, based on like most projections, it seems like if they do sign him to an extension, it would actually save them an additional like 2 million or so this year in cap space. So we'll see how they like structure it all out. But now with these kind of near minimum deals with like very little guarantee, we saw the contracts, if anybody's missed it, the specifics for Johnny Munt and Grant Calcaterra came out. They're both getting like 1 year, 1.5 million, but only like half of the deal. It's like 700,000 is guaranteed for Grant Calcaterra, 750,000 is guaranteed for Johnny Munt. So basically neither player is a lock to make the roster. I would lean more towards Munt being a lock to make the roster, but a lot of these guys that are being signed in the past couple of days are probably getting similar amounts of money, which if you look on these websites, like you mentioned, Over the Cap and Spot Track, where I just checked, Over the Cap has the Eagles at 34 million. Spot Track has them as 36 million, but it's all based on like the top 51 slots on their roster. And then like you got guys in that fall out of that category and then that are right in it that are making the same amount of money. So it's all right around the same. So it's all going to come down to, like you said, if they make an AJ Brown trade or if there is going to be a Jonathan Goedert trade, some type of significant move that eats a lot of that cap space up.
So many things, so many questions, which again, that's why it's a very interesting and unknown time of the year and everything else that Howie's got going on. It's impressive, but Darth with a 2, appreciate this one, says, hope Ty gets snaps with Morrow and Byron on their last year. I would love to see a little more contribution. I mean, if Jalen Carter had been the game record that we'd hoped, then I think that it would be an easier pill to swallow of like, oh, Ty Robinson didn't see the field. But
yeah,
Jalen Carter wasn't, and yet we still didn't really see Ty Robinson out there hardly at all. He made a couple plays, but otherwise it was, and he's an older player. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he was like 24 when he was drafted. Like he's an older player coming in, so it was like, well, maybe he's going to make a more immediate impact. He could this year, yes. But I'm with you. We would love to see a little more impact from a Ty Robinson.
Yeah, the Vanilla Gorilla had a better nickname than he had impact on the field as a rookie, right? I feel like there was a lot of hype going into it, and I kind of said afterwards that I hyped him up a ton as well, but I think maybe we put a little bit too much high expectations on him for heading into the season. But it just still like not even to crack the rotation, right? Where Byron Young, who was kind of let go by the Raiders, former 3rd round pick, I get he has like more draft pedigree, but you would expect a rookie that's, like you said, an older prospect that should be NFL ready, like have the body to succeed right away. For him to basically not even see the field, he was healthy and active for most of the season, right? Like, so you definitely want to see more of him year 2, and that's what they're going to need it, especially if they don't add anybody else along the interior of the defensive line, because, like you mentioned, Jalen Carter's health, if he's fully healthy, hopefully they'll be fine with him and Jordan Davis, but Moro Ojomo's heading into a contract year. Byron Young, who knows if he'll even make the roster, right? There might be a competition between him and Ty Robinson and a rookie or another veteran that they bring in. So you definitely want to see more from Ty Robinson heading into year 2.
Gabe Hall, don't forget about my guy.
Hey,
he's been kind of just hiding, practice squad, a little bit of a elevation. Maybe you're hoping to.
He made some plays during the preseason. I feel like, right?
Maybe one of these years we'll get a Gabe Hall. Or the kid go with a Michael Trigg. Get a tight end.
Listen, Baylor's got a couple players in the draft this year.
Just saying, look out now. Just need
one might finally make the 53-man roster.
I talked to an A&M fan who work out with, and I give him. We kind of laugh about it all the time because he's like, big on Aniyah Smith, and didn't really work out. He made a couple plays, but didn't really work out. We're like, hey, but we have the punter. We got Braden Mann. So if nothing else fit, like there's your Texas A&M guy, and he's kind of punters are people too, but I don't think there's as much of recognition on that from his side.
Josh Cameron, wide receiver from Baylor. The Eagles spoke to him at the Senior Bowl, so that's
there we go. See.
I got to watch for maybe like late day 2, early day 3.
Big body receiver, pretty physical. So maybe I'm curious. I don't know exactly like his his splits. Watching his game, I don't know. He can win, like, big body receiver. He can win the 50-50 balls. I don't know about the route tree. I don't know about the quickness either. Separation. There's question marks around him. I'll say that. But Michael Trigg, if we go with Michael Trigg, I can get behind that. So, we should.
I don't think I've ever heard you be down on a Baylor player.
I'm trying to be trying to be as honest as I can, because I was going to be like, what, did you really watch him? But no, you mentioned Ty Robinson and guys either kind of, living up to expectations or sometimes having, not enough or not living up to it. But the top 30 visits last year was the first time in a long time that the Eagles did not take a player that was in the top 30. And so, the question became, well, is that a reason that we didn't have as much of a contribution from the rookie class? Maybe not, but it does play a factor when you get a top 30 visit and you know more about those players. It's not to say that Howie only looked at all these guys in the top 30 visits and was like, no, we're not going to draft them. Like, several guys, and we've even gotten reports, confirmation on this, several guys got drafted like a pick or a couple picks before the Eagles that they were going to select, and then they kind of kept trading back, trying to position themselves. Didn't really fall necessarily how they wanted for the most part, but got John Campbell. Have the depth for linebacker. Fangio was super hyped about that, so love that aspect. But top 30 visits are still important, and this year, as every year, but this year, Anthony is tracking them like crazy. He's tracking every visit, so there's like 100 million that have already happened. But the PhillySpecialShow.com, there's articles on both. But at DiBona NFL, if you want to follow on X or Twitter, keeping you up to date on all the latest of the visits. There's 4 that I mentioned earlier for those top 30 visits, and I don't know, little quick rundown as we're getting to the end of this stream here, but a quick rundown on the 4 so far.
So real quick, the meeting tracker in general, it just goes through every kind of reported meeting, whether it's Pro Day meeting, Senior Bowl, East-West Shrine Bowl, American Bowl, Combine, everything. That has over 120 players listed in it, and that's like a graphic. Don't really go into detail on each of the players there. But that's, if you want to check that out, I put a lot of time and effort into that. And then the 30 visits are also in there, but I have a separate article that has like 2 paragraphs on each player, kind of just talking about the player, their production in college, the type of player that they could be at the next level. And 2 of those names are players that we already mentioned. So there's been 4 reported 30 visits. Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver from Indiana, is kind of the first one that we talked about with the A.J. Brown stuff going on, projected to be a first-round pick. Has drawn comparisons to Deebo Samuel, and some fans might not like that. They might like it, but early career Deebo Samuel, not the one that's kind of.
I would take the early career. Yes, absolutely.
With the Washington Commanders, Vega Ione, the guard from Penn State, is regarded as the best guard in the draft class. Depending on if you move one of these other offensive tackles to guard, maybe that kind of perspective changes. But he's viewed as easily the top guard as far as guys that actually played guard in college football, and he makes a ton of sense as kind of that Landon Dickerson insurance, but also could start over Tyler Steen from day one, right, in Philadelphia. Another Penn State guy, Danny Dennis-Sutton, edge rusher, massive player, 6'5" or 6'6", 250 plus, with like almost a 40-inch vertical, like almost an 11-foot broad jump, 4.6 40. Like, he had the under 7 second in the 3-cone, which if anybody's seen me and Josh talk about the draft, I talked about how that usually leads to. That's like a direct correlation to an edge rusher being very productive in the NFL. So he kind of checks all of those boxes. And then Jalen Kilgore is a versatile defensive back from South Carolina who has drawn comparisons to C.J. Gardner-Johnson because he played a ton in the slot, but he can play kind of single high. He can be in 2 high. He can be in the box. Just a super versatile player that it's kind of interesting to see the Eagles host him for a visit because he's not the biggest name. He's projected to probably be like late day 2, early day 3. But given what Vic Fangio looks for in a safety, I think Kilgore checks a lot of those boxes.
And you like it too because most of them are more of those high profile. But when you start seeing some of those that are kind of the in between, the mid rounds, the later picks, then you're like, all right, you can, in your mind at least, kind of figure out perhaps what Howie's thinking or hoping in terms of like the draft range, like, oh, we might take this guy in this level or this round. So it's interesting as you start piecing those things together. And it felt like we had a good judge on it, I suppose, from years past. And then Howie changed things up and other teams caught on because the Cowboys took basically everybody that we brought in for a visit last year. So just trying to copy. But Great work as always, though. So shout out to you.
Appreciate
Anthony does do a crazy amount of work, as you guys know. And this is not even his full-time job, which is just insane. So deserve more credit for that. We should also mention, too, as we're wrapping this thing up, special giveaway for people that are hanging out here still on the stream. There's about 700 people on the stream. So drop a like, hit the like button. We've got about 180, and there's 700-ish here. So the math ain't mathin'. But if you could do me a favor, hit the like button real quick. And then we're going to do a special giveaway because Anthony is always on top of it with the trading cards. And I think this one is a special autographed card, if I'm not mistaken here.
So I mentioned this or teased this in the live stream. I said that I was going to get one. And I got not one, but two of them. But I'm going to be giving away one of them to this live stream to all 700. Well, not all 700 of you are going to win, but one of you hopefully is going to stick around and win this card. And it's going to be an autographed Tariq Woolen rookie card.
Look at that.
Numbered out of 99. So it's a limited card. But I know his Seahawks uniform, but obviously he was a rookie with the Seahawks. So that's we're going to be giving that away to one lucky winner.
Heck yeah. Somebody gets Reek the Freak. I don't know if that's his nickname, but I've started kind of putting that out there. You know, I mean, there's something. Does he have a nickname? Do you know?
I think Reek is just
Reek would just be like, the abbreviated, but I guess the nickname. So I kind of
look it up. Let's see.
Did like a double on it. So we Reek the Freak. Because he's a freak. Like, former wide receiver, 6'4", 210, 4.26, 40, 42, 43-inch vertical. Like, he's a freak. But
if you go to his Pro Football Reference page, it says Tariq Woolen, and then in parentheses where they usually have the nicknames, Reek the Freak is the first one.
Is it really?
Or Avatar is the other one. So
Avatar, okay. I haven't heard Avatar, but
the movie, like the people, were ridiculously long and big and stuff. So overrated movie, by the way, but that's another topic for another day. I don't have many movies.
I would kind of agree with you on that one, actually. So I don't know who all would be a major fan, but so here's what we're going to do. It's
fancy Pocahontas. That's all it is. But anyway.
It is. Oh, freak. Okay, Isaiah's coming with it. I love whenever people start jumping in other nicknames. But okay, so here's what we're going to do for the giveaway. You just need to. Tyler's a fan of Avatar. Avatar is badass. Or is he saying it's bad, like it's ass? I think that's what he's saying. It's bad. So what we're going to do here for the giveaway. So now we're going to start the whole chat on something else. All right, so what we're going to do for the giveaway is all you have to do is type in Reek. One time. You don't need to do multiple messages one time. But there we go. John's not a fan of Avatar. Love it. It's not terrible, but I agree. It's just... To me, I agree with Anthony. It was overrated. But Reek, R-I-Q, that's it. It's very simple, very easy. Reek, one comment, don't need to do multiple. I will spin this here in a second. You have to be present on the stream to win. So, I'm going to give it like 2 minutes like I normally do. I'll spin. You have to be here. If you're not, I'll respin. So don't leave. Make sure that whoever wins the first time is actually here. And there you go. You'll get a signed Reek the Freak rookie card.
Make sure you like the stream too at the same time. It gives you a little extra bonus luck. Right?
There we go. We're up to 244, so we did get about 60 more since the last time that we said that. But we get a few. Dylan says Avatar is a garbage. It's 9 foot Smurfs in Chicago.
What do we start?
What? Jeremy, Reek, Game of Thrones. Okay, so that's funny that Jeremy mentions that. We've restarted Game of Thrones for like the 14th time. And I did think about that. I was like, but it's got a completely different meaning to it. But yes, that's interesting. Reek like Game of Thrones. That would be a bad connotation. That's not the Reek that we're going for. No, not the what would that R-E-E-K? No, it's the R-I-Q. There we go. I think we're slowing down on the chats.
This is where I expose myself and say that I've never watched Game of Thrones, but hopefully nobody. My wife watched the entire show. I have not watched a single second of it. So I'm too busy updating draft trackers. All right, this is
that's true. Yep.
While you're binge watching Game of Thrones, I'm trying to find out who the Division 4 wide receiver that met with the Eagles at the American Bowl is. All right.
you're the psychopath who knows who the scout in the East Coast, some random school, and you're like, there's a video clip. You're like, hey, I think that's so and so. It's like, who? I remember the first time that we went to the Eagles game, and you're like pointing out the who was that? The executive or something like that. I'm like,
yeah.
How do you know who that looks like?
Guy?
What?
So this is just a little peek behind the curtain. Those are all
that's
offense,
just nuts. That's insane.
Defense, even got some special teams in there. Yeah, that's all. The PhillySpecialShow.com if you want to check that out. I tweet. It's actually my most recent tweet before the tweet with the live stream. So at DiBona NFL if you want to check it out there too. So
there we go.
That's what I'm doing.
I love people are like, expose yourself then for the Game of Thrones take. There's a few on here that have actually said they've never seen it. Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot, but people have seen it.
The thing that turned me off too is just like it was all this hype. I wasn't watching it during its peak, right? And then at the end, everybody was like, "The show sucked. The ending was terrible." So like to me, why would I invest? Which I guess is people said that about Stranger Things, and I love Stranger Things, but like. I guess that kind of turned me off a little bit, especially with how long the series is and how many episodes. Just like, why would I spend so much time with no reward?
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm rewatching it again for like I say, the 14th time. You need to just you watch till like I don't know what it is, like season 6 probably, and then it's like they just rush so much, or maybe even a little bit into season 6, but like they just rush everything. So I kind of hated that, but. Anyway, we've gotten so far off on the movie topics. John with a 5 says, nah, it is terrible. He said not even just average for the Avatar. You hit the nail on the head, Josh. Okay. So we can agree to disagree, everybody. This is the beauty of it. Everybody's got opinion about movies, and everybody's got opinions about AJ, and everybody's got opinions about the Eagles as a whole, and that's where we're going to end it. But I'm going to spin now, so hopefully nobody is left that actually wins. Good luck, everybody. I do appreciate you guys. Y'all are the best. You know that, but best community on YouTube. And it's only possible because of y'all. But here's the giveaway. Let me remove the QR code here. But got those comments in. We'll pick the winner, and hopefully you stick around. Otherwise, I'll spin it again. The winner is Mugs Games, I believe. Mugs Games. If you're still here, come on down. The price is right. A Woolen signed card there from Anthony. The rookie, just make sure that you're here. I'm perusing the comments. Got to make sure. Just let me know. Say I'm here. It's me. Awesome. Go Birds. Avatar sucks. Anything. I just got to have something that is in the comments.
This is
and make sure that you're here. Mugs Games. If he's not, we're gonna spin it. So
he might have been a Game of Thrones fan. He got upset that.
Could have been, or could have been an Avatar fan, and just like, these jokers, I'm done with them. To be fair, I have not watched the recent one, or maybe the recent two. I don't even know how many there are, to be honest. I've watched the first one. I was kind of like, it was good, but at the time, I wasn't really as into like a bunch of films, so I didn't have anything to compare it to. There is he or she. Mugs Games, go Birds. Got the comment. Okay. Congratulations again. Again, there's just more takes of this. This is glorious. It's completely went off the rails. But congratulations.
That's my fault.
You're here. Email me at thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com or DM me on one of the socials, or you could do the same thing for Anthony. So DM one of us. We just need to confirm your information so that we can ship it out to you. But congratulations. You have a Reek the Freak signed card numbered, 99 you said? So there's limited. There we go. Congratulations. And for everybody else, apologies. I know it's rigged, but we'll have more. We'll have more giveaways, more stuff to go off of. And I think that we're close. I don't know if we have 3,000 likes in the last video, but the last video that I did, I was saying if there was 3,000 likes, we would do another jersey giveaway for a signed jersey of your choosing. So we're close. Okay. But if it has not hit that yet, then, we got a little ways to go. But if it does, we'll do that. But yeah, I think we covered basically everything, because once we start getting on movie topics, that lets you know. But it is the time when lots of stuff is still going to happen, and it was this way last year. This is whenever Kenny Pickett got traded, or 2 years ago, traded for Kenny Pickett. It was like during the March Madness tournament, because I remember that. I was watching it. It was late, and it was like, oh my gosh. And I texted Thomas actually, and he was about to go to bed, and it was like, well, it's actually Kenny Pickett signing, so we're gonna go live for that. But if they do anything big move, go live for it. But otherwise, still keep you guys up to date, everything on that side, and more videos to come. So appreciate it as always. We'll see you guys. Stay classy, Wheezy. Go Birds.
Go Birds.